In today's video, I'm going to talk about 2 beliefs that you need in order to make progress in a taper and eventually become medication free and remain medication free. Stay tuned. I hope you'll find this useful.
Who are you living for? What are they asking for? Trying to be everyone's favorite weighs you down every day while you parade in the frenzy. Be careful not to run far from home.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to The Lovely Grind. My name is Michael Preby, and my website's lovelygrind.com. That's where you can find information about my coaching, courses, and monthly membership area. That's also where you can find a lot of pertinent blog posts, so I hope you'll check out lovelygrind.com. And I welcome you back to my YouTube channel and to today's video, in which I'm going to talk about 2 beliefs that you really need to cling to in order to make progress in a medication taper or to eventually become medication free and remain medication free. So in order to quickly recap my story, I'll just say I was on 2 medications, Paxil, an SSRI antidepressant, and Xanax, benzodiazepine, for over a dozen years. And I was prescribed those in my last year of college at UW-Madison because I was experiencing panic attacks and persistent anxiety that I couldn't quite seem to get under control. And the initial doctor's visit was fairly brief. The prescriptions were given, and then my time on medications went, unfortunately, fairly unexamined for a good number of years until my mid-30s. I made the decision to get off these medications, and when I did, I was surprised by the severity and also by the duration of the withdrawal I experienced and by the types of symptoms I experienced. So it was a scary experience, but I was able to get through that, was able to endure it, was able to get off medications and remain medication free to this day. So that's really what I'm going to talk about today. What beliefs help me to get off those medications despite a very difficult withdrawal, and to stay off them despite any challenges in my life since getting off them, and what beliefs help others to do the same thing. Well, first, I think the first really foundational belief that you have to have, especially once you start experiencing any sort of symptoms as you're tapering or after getting off medications, is this: withdrawal is temporary. That's a very, very important foundational belief to have. Withdrawal is not a permanent state of affairs. It's not a permanent state of being. It's not a permanent injury. It's not a permanent state of pain. It's not a permanent set of limitations. It might be a painful process, but ultimately these symptoms can be seen as signs of a beneficial process that is happening and of a progressing process that is happening, whereby the systems of our body, whereby our mind, whereby these things are strengthening and rebalancing and once again learning how to live life and cope through stress and find joy without the interference, without the crutch of medications. So that's a really important belief, though, that the withdrawal process is a temporary thing and a sign of something good that's happening. Because this speaks directly to one of the top fears that I always list as the top 3 of anyone who's going through withdrawal. And those would be, am I dying? Am I losing my mind? And is this permanent? Answer to all those is no, but when we're going through it, those are the things we worry about. And we worry, what if this never ends? What about if next week is just like this, and next year, and 10 years down the line, and 20 years down the line? But again, in order to get through this, you have to recognize and really believe that it's just a temporary process and indeed a beneficial process. You might be experiencing some pains right now, but those won't last forever. And you might be experiencing some limitations right now, but those won't last forever. I can remember when I was experiencing severe insomnia, I thought it would never end. But even though it took time, my sleep did sort itself back out to a good place. I can remember dealing with things like severe mental fog, thinking I'd never be able to concentrate again. But that didn't last forever. I can remember dealing with things like very, very deep, dark depression, anhedonia, just an inability to look forward to things, anticipate things in a joyful and excited manner. I thought I was never going to get out of that hole, but little by little I saw breakthroughs, and those good emotions and that enthusiasm, that joy for life did return. So even if it takes a while for some of us, as it did for me, this healing process, even if this withdrawal thing takes a while for some of us, as it did for me, it's temporary. And here I'd like to speak specifically to any of you who might fall into that protracted withdrawal category. Maybe you've been at this for a while. I mean, as a little aside, I can remember specifically early on in my withdrawal, the first maybe few months or half a year for me early on, when I was spending some time on forums still and trying to feel my way around to make sure I wasn't the only one going through it and to better understand what I was going through. I can remember in one of the forums there was this separate category, like this, what I considered a dark corner, and it was called protracted withdrawal, and that was for a certain group of people who were, maybe a year and a half or 2.5 years out or more, and they were still going through these things. And this might sound a little silly or even judgmental, but it's the truth. I remember thinking, man, I never want to be one of those sorry bastards. I really don't ever want to be looking around in that area of a forum or being put into that category. But lo and behold, I was one of those people for whom withdrawal lasted, maybe between 2 and 3 years totally. Although I saw, improvements before that, and even after the 3 years for me, I had been through so much and endured so much that I was still kind of regaining my energy sometimes and still sorting out a little bit of sensitivity to stress and some sleep issues. But the bottom line is, even if it lasts a while, for people like myself, or perhaps for you, if you're a protracted withdrawal person, it doesn't mean it lasts forever. Withdrawal is temporary. Focus on that truth today if you're tapering or if you've been off the medications a while and are still dealing with some stuff. It's an important belief, and it's one that's going to allow you to see this through to larger and larger breakthroughs. The second foundational belief that's going to allow you to complete a taper and get off medications and stay off medications is the belief that you, as an individual, can survive without medications and eventually have a good life without medications. At some point, everyone who gets on antidepressants or everyone who gets on benzodiazepine medications is told by someone, maybe a doctor, maybe a psychiatrist, maybe family members, maybe all of the above, that they just need medications. You need these to function. You need these to manage. You have, as the old line goes, a chemical imbalance. Maybe some people were told those familiar lines, if you were someone with vision problems, you'd wear glasses, wouldn't you? If you were a diabetic, you'd take insulin, wouldn't you? So once upon a time, everyone who gets on these medications is told by someone that they are an individual who just needs these medications, as if it's an inherent disorder that we're born with, and these medications were finally conceived of to fix this disorder in a subset of the population. Well, I think we've all learned as time goes on that isn't really the case. There are various times when the systems of our bodies, including our nervous system and neurochemical systems, might be in a state of imbalance for various reasons: stress, grief, anxiety struggles, and so forth. But that doesn't mean that these things are a fixed state of being or that medications are the only way to correct them. So even if you've been on these medications for a while, it's important to begin working through that psychological baggage of just being someone who needs the medications. I mean, everyone who's in the process of getting off of these has those doubts and struggles with that concept, and I did too. I can specifically remember first getting on, especially the Paxil. I was very, very conflicted about taking it. I honestly, thinking back on it, felt very, very weird in the first month as I was getting on it. And eventually I really had to work hard to convince myself to keep taking it. I had to convince myself that it was something I needed. And over the years, there's a real slippery slope of identity that can happen, whereby we begin to make these medications a part of our identity. And I've made other videos about this. As you work to get off the medications, you have to detach these medications from your sense of identity. Because for many years, maybe you've told yourself, I need these to function. I can't work without medications. I can't deal with stress without medications. I can't feel joy or sleep without medications. I can't socialize without medications, and on it goes. To see the taper process through and get off and stay off these medications, you have to believe that the systems of your body and you as an individual can exist, function, and have a good life without these medications. And if you think back, there was a time when we all did it. For some of us, maybe it was pretty young. There was a time when we all functioned before the medications. There'll be a time after as well. Again, there might be periods of imbalance in life. Central nervous system imbalance, neurochemical imbalance. And that can be due to a lot of different factors, including lifestyle, diet, stress, and so forth. But those imbalances don't have to be thought of as a permanent state of being, as a fixed state of being, and you don't have to think of yourself as being in a fixed state of needing these medications forever. At least if you're one of the people who's really wanting to and working to in a supervised fashion to get off of them, that's one of the beliefs you have to have, that you as an individual will be able to function, manage, and have a good life without these things. Even if there's a bit of sorting out in the healing process, you have to have that faith in yourself. Even if there's doubts, you have to come back to that faith. So that's the second foundational core belief to cling to as you go through this process. That I am someone who was created with the ability and capacity to function and even have a good life without these medications. Maybe I did it before. I'm certainly going to do it in the future. So I'm going to keep that vision in my mind and help that allow me to move forward in this healing process. My name is Michael Preby. My website's lovelygrind.com. That's where you can go and sign up for my coaching, my courses, my support and success monthly membership area. It's where you can check out my blog posts. Hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you return to this channel for future videos. I enjoy having you. Please leave a comment below if you'd like to, and until next time, please remember to take care of yourself and your dreams.